Hello everybody, and welcome to Season 2 of my F1 22 career mode. Here we are, nabbing Oscar Piastri as a teammate, regardless of what he says on Twitter. Admittedly though, that tweet was quite funny, as was how many people got involved with it, including Specsavers saying, "Who needs to see us in the morning?" Right, here we are designing our Season 2 car. We've gone for the black and purple, like what we had in the F1 2021 career mode. Now, we did originally record a Season 2 of career mode, but with many patches going on the game, which affected not only how the car handled, but how the AI handled in terms of how quick they were in a straight and straight out of the corners, it made for us being very inconsistently placed during that Season 2. So this is basically us re-recording Season 2. I simulated Season 1 with Dan Ticktum as my teammate, as he was my original teammate. And I've tried to sort of place us about where we were originally going to be placed. So what's changed then? Well, Fernando Alonso was going to retire, but he's changed his mind and McLaren have offered him a seat. So Alonso has returned to McLaren. Esteban Ocon has left Alpine and moved to Alfa Romeo. Zhou Guanyu has moved to Williams. And Nicholas Latifi has moved to Alpine. That's quite interesting that they've taken him on. Ticktum is moving over from our team to Alfa Romeo. Albon has also moved to Alpine. So Alex Albon takes the second Alpine seat. Piastri obviously is now driving for us, and Felipe Drugovich makes his debut for Williams. So as you can see in the performance index, we are 10th, but it's very, very close between us and the next 3 or 4 teams ahead of us in the performance index. So if we push hard enough, we might be able just to make up that difference. It should be very close in the midfield. There's our Season 2 car then, looking very good. I did forget to add the sponsors to it. They will be added from Imola onwards. But it's a positive practice session with us in 12th. But look at Fernando Alonso topping it. He is on a mission here. Sainz second and Verstappen third. But obviously these times mean nothing. Now we're heading into the serious business that is qualifying for the Australian Grand Prix. The first of what will be a 16 race Season 2. And every season onwards from this point will contain 16 races. We will be doing this career mode up until I win either the Drivers' or Constructors' Championship, preferably both, so there will probably be 3 or 4 seasons of this career mode. As for Season 2 targets, I'm hoping to get on the podium 3, maybe 4 times, and hopefully at a push, one of those times could be a win. I feel really confident with our upgrade speed, and I think throwing on a few major upgrades could get us from where we are in the performance index towards the top 5. Even in the performance index, there wasn't that much difference between the mid-pack and the front, so if we keep a good upgrade pace going, we should be able to get towards the front by the end of this season. Where are we in Q1 then? It started off at P8 and I felt that was a good enough time to go through. Alonso has topped Q1 with Albon second and Hamilton third. And I think we just about squeezed into Q2 there. We were 8 tenths off. Schumacher was a 10th off of us. And as a result, he is out. Oscar Piastri could only manage 21st, unfortunately. Not the strongest debut for him. But now we're in Q2 and I am pushing to get out of Q2. I don't know whether we'll be able to do it. It will take some doing, but we've got a great run out of the last corner. And that should get us into P10. That's P10. So if we stay there, we've made it. But I feel like we need to go for one last lap. And we are doing that. Leclerc has just set the fastest time. We've gone a bit wide down. We've lost a bit of time on the Delta. But then we make it up round here, heading through the last couple of corners. Verstappen now setting the fastest time. The track really is evolving quite quickly, which is why I feel like we need a faster time. Now Lando Norris sets the faster time. We've improved our time. Does that get us through to Q3? Yes, it does. And it gets us through nicely in P9. Okay, Q3 now. And in fact, we did do a lap in Q3. but it wasn't that clever. So first of all, Gasly, Tsunoda, Magnussen, Zhou, Vettel and Latifi are all out. I don't know why Alpine hired Latifi. I'm very confused by that one.
Leclerc,
but Albon quite comfortably out-qualifying him. And actually, Alpine have taken on Williams' old lineup. They've taken both Albon and Latifi from Williams, so that's interesting. But we have qualified 10th for the first race of Season 2. What is going to happen here?
No more practice. This is the real deal. And it's make or break here at round 1 of this year's Formula One World Championship. We go racing today then in the state of Victoria, where the drivers have 14 corners and 3.28 miles to navigate at an average lap speed of around 120 miles per hour. The close proximity of the barriers make accidents inevitable, and recent history shows us that a safety car is not at all out of the question. Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks like for today's race. An immense lap from Carlos Sainz yesterday puts him in pole position, with Charles Leclerc alongside. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Hamilton, Norris, Fernando Alonso and Perez, Verstappen, Russell, Albon and Joker, Gasly, Tsunoda, Kevin Magnussen and Zhou, Vettel, Latifi, Mick Schumacher and Lance Stroll, Ocon, Drugovich, Oscar Piastri and Daniel Ticktum. It's almost time for the lights to go out, so let's head down to the track where preparations are underway. A new season then, a clean slate where anything could happen. Natalie Pinkham is with me today as we get another year of Formula One underway.
We're into those tense few minutes before the first race then. Everyone's a little bit nervous about reliability.
A whole new season awaits us then as Carlos Sainz leads the grid away on the formation lap, starting in pole for the Australian Grand Prix. It's a very strong qualifying for McLaren. They've found themselves up the field with 4th and 5th. If anything, it's Red Bull who have got catching up to do. They're only 6th and 7th with Perez and Verstappen. George Russell only making P8. We're about to line up in P10, and like I said, my targets for this year, 3, maybe 4 podiums and a push if we keep upgrading the car well towards the end of the year, and I'm hoping one of those podiums can be a win. I'm thinking more towards the end of the season. We could grab a win if we push hard for it, so that's the targets for Season 2. But we got to keep a solid upgrade pace going, because right now in the performance index we are pretty much matching the guys in the midfield. So we need to push on, keep upgrading and get ourselves closer to the front. Those are the goals for the season. Right, here we go. Season 2. We're all on the grid. It's lights out and away we go. Sainz gets a good start. It looks like Norris got away well but had nowhere to go with it. The 2 Ferraris then are side by side going into turn 1. Leclerc trying to edge his way through into the first corner. The 2 Ferraris are still side by side heading down the straight. Leclerc has the inside, but Sainz is not going to let that go easy. Leclerc's down the inside. Has he got the lead? Just about. But Sainz has held it out around the outside. Got the inside for the next corner. And Carlos Sainz holding on to the lead. But what happened to us? You may have seen on that leaderboard we dropped down the field. It is lights out and away we go, but away we don't go, because that is a terrible start. We've really bogged down and lost places there, and we take a very tight entry into 1 so we don't hit anyone. Schumacher's now come down my left. I'm trying to get down around Zhou, but Zhou is now coming across on me, which means I had to brake. And that was very rude by Zhou Guanyu there, the way he came across on me. And now I've got Lance Stroll around my outside. I've lost a place to Latifi too. We've gone from 10th to 18th in the running order. And Drugovich is right behind me, wanting a look. That is the worst start imaginable we could have had. We're now going to try and take Stroll down the inside, which is then going to switch to the outside. What is Stroll doing there? I literally thought I was going to have to jam on the brakes to take avoiding action, because he holds the inside, but then he goes in tight and then veers across almost. But we were able to keep the momentum, and that's P17 we've gained. And next up, we're going to try and get past Latifi. And Latifi's just not going to fight that one. He's chosen that that is not his fight. We bang wheels a little bit there as he turns in. But we are now up into P16. And Stroll has actually got past Latifi as well. Right, we're now behind Schumacher. He is going to be next. Right, lap 4. Carlos Sainz leads. Charles Leclerc is in second. Look how close the Ferraris are. Is Charles Leclerc going to have a go maybe into turn 3? No, he does not. He tucks in behind. Oh, Sainz has gone wide. Carlos has made a mistake. He's locked up, gone wide, and that has allowed Charles Leclerc to take the lead of the race. So Charles Leclerc now carrying on where he left off season 1 as the defending champion, leading the way. Carlos Sainz tucking in second, and it's Hamilton and Alonso following behind. Now we've got a little bit of a problem on our hands here because we have the famous DRS train, and these happen quite often at Melbourne, and we're struggling to make our way forwards. We're struggling to stay on the back of Schumacher as well, and we've got Lance Stroll right behind. The problem is they're all on soft tyres, so they've got a bit more of performance out of the corners. They've got a bit of an advantage on the traction out of the corners. We're just going to bide our time and wait for those soft tyres to go before trying anything. We are trying to keep up with these guys, and it's proving quite difficult at the moment. But I'm not giving up on this. And we have actually got closer in the next lap now. It's lap 7. And I think we're just going to have to do a do-or-die dive. That is exactly what we've done. Schumacher trying to hold it out around the outside, but we've finally moved up a position, up into P15. And as we go a couple of laps later, drivers are now starting to pit. So we're now got a bit of clear track for the first time all race. Can we do anything with it, I wonder? We now have our first retirement of the race, unfortunately. And that is Esteban Ocon in the Alfa Romeo. That's rotten luck for him. He was racing with us, or around where we were actually, so it could have been quite an interesting battle. We've pitted on lap 11 because Latifi was starting to catch up, so our tyres were starting to go off, and we've just about managed to get ahead of Vettel in the pits. So we have gained a little overcut on Vettel with having that clear air, but now we need to catch up and pass Tsunoda, who is about a second and a half ahead of us, and maybe a little bit more after going wide at 3. Going wide there again isn't going to help our cause, but I am going to push hard to try and catch Tsunoda. In fact, a lap and a half later, we have just about caught him, as I'm going to go down the inside there. That's a very late move, and somehow we just about make the corner and get ahead of Yuki Tsunoda, and that is now P14. So we are now going to try and push towards Gasly and Magnussen, who are ahead, and I think we've got a couple of other drivers pitting this lap, so that might move us up a couple more places. Meanwhile, Lewis Hamilton is into the pits, and he is coming in to change onto the hard tyres. He may be held up on the exit here as the Alpine gets in the way. That's going to be critical. He was going to leave before that, but the Alpine has held him up, and he was in a very close battle with Fernando Alonso. Alonso comes out the pits a lap later, and yeah, so being held up by the Alpine has cost Lewis Hamilton third place, as Fernando Alonso in the McLaren now moves into the top 3 and the podium places. He's having an amazing debut with the McLaren team at the moment. He is really going strong. Also coming out the pits then is Lando Norris here. We've got Sergio Perez coming out ahead, and Verstappen is right behind him, and he nearly loses it in turn 1, trying to avoid Sergio Perez, who came out the pits just in front of him. And in backing up Lando Norris, that's allowed George Russell to have a go round the outside of 3, and Russell now has the inside line, and he gains a position on Lando Norris. Meanwhile, where are we? We're in P12, trying to catch up to Gasly and Magnussen, and we're just about matching them at the moment, so I just need to find a little bit more to catch up to them. Otherwise, we're looking at P12 as a finish, and sure enough, over the next few laps, we have just started nibbling into that gap. It is now just over 2 seconds. We are closing them down. The hope is that I can close them down, get them both, and get P10 and grab a point from this first race of Season 2. but it's going to be quite hard to do so. Meanwhile, we're now watching Fernando Alonso. No, yeah, we're watching Fernando Alonso on the back of Carlos Sainz. So Alonso's charge not ending with Lewis Hamilton. He has now charged his way up to Carlos Sainz. He is having a battle with him for P2. DRS is open. Is Fernando going to have a look? Carlos covers the inside. Fernando goes to the outside, but Carlos moves back across, and he's gone wide again. Carlos Sainz makes another mistake, and that's cost him P2. Carlos Sainz has lost 2 places in this race through driver error, and now we're watching the 2 Red Bulls fight it out for 6th. Max is going to go round the outside of Perez. Perez fighting him as hard as he can. No team orders this season, but Verstappen gets his way up into P6. And gosh, does it look weird seeing him sport the number 33 on the car again. Right, where are we? We have caught up to Gasly and Magnussen.
We might have an issue. Hang in there. We're attempting to manage it.
Oh no, don't say that. We have just caught up to Gasly and Magnussen. We're within a second and a half of them and getting ready for a grandstand finish here. But now we're being told there's a potential issue with the car. Don't be doing this to me, lads. Do not be doing...
I confirm it's an issue with our engine, I'm afraid.
So we have got an engine issue and it's stuck in lean mix. And that is going to cost us time on the straights. Look at the way they're pulling away from us on the straight as a result of this. That is not what we need. And that in itself has really slowed down our charge. Speaking of slowing down, there's a Williams. I think that's Drogovic pulling off to the side. Felipe has driven his last lap of this race. That is very unfortunate. Right. Perez is now trying to hold off George Russell. Russell's going to go round the outside. They do love that move round the outside, do the AI. And George Russell up into P7. Lando Norris is going to be next to have a go at Perez. And you can see him there. Norris is going to go round the outside of Perez. And surely he's going to get this move done. Perez's tyres, I think, have just fallen off the edge of the cliff because he has lost 3 places in the last handful of laps. So that's unfortunate for him. But where are we throughout all this? We're in P12. And unfortunately, because of that problem we had, it did slow down our momentum. It fixed itself, but the gap had already gone up at that point. So at this point now, my mission was just to bring the car home. Charles Leclerc then takes the first win of the season. But for us, it's going to be P12. And there are positives to take from this race. Our pace in clear air was good enough to catch the guys in the points. But we just didn't have enough time. We had a car problem. I feel like without that bad start, we could have been P9 or P10. But it's P12, and there are positives to take from this race.
Alright, race over. Take care of the car on the way in.
A great race then, and a fantastic victory here at Albert Park. Natalie Pinkham, how do you think they were able to set themselves apart today?
I think it was clear what the main contributing factor out of the track was. Speed. It sounds like an awfully reductive statement, but fast cars win races. And we saw that today with our winner.
And here we are, a team that is no stranger to the podium, taking their place on top once again. A sublime race today and a stunning win for Ferrari.
like I said, there are positives to take from that, and our pace seemed decent in clear air. We just didn't have enough of it.
So let's have a look
But it's
then at
Charles
the driver's
Leclerc who
standings. Charles Leclerc's
carries on
points
where he
today
left
take
off
him
by
to the
winning
top
the
of
race and
championship
getting the
standings.
fastest
Let's
lap.
focus on driver of the
Fernando
day now,
Alonso
prediction.
a
Come on,
stunning
who do you think?
debut for
Oscar
McLaren in
Piastri gets
second.
my vote
He
today.
means
Let's move on to
business
the
this
constructors.
season.
Ferrari
Carlos
take the lead
Sainz
at the
takes the
top of the
final
table.
podium place.
After an
Hamilton
event
in
like
fourth.
that, who
Alex
knows what the
Albon, an
sport has in store
incredible
for us next
debut for
time?
Alpine in
Be sure
fifth.
to join us again
And then
as
it's
we
Max
continue to bring you the
Verstappen,
latest
George
excitement
Russell, Lando
in
Norris,
Formula One.
Sergio Perez, and Pierre Gasly rounding out the top 10. And we were just a few seconds shy of a point. But lots of positives to take. And we're going to go into China carrying those positives. China will be round 2. And I'm quite happy with where we're at. Sonoda then was still a few seconds behind us. We were quite quick. And we're only going to get quicker as we have some pretty major upgrades coming. So, like I said, there are positives to take. But, wow, some of the debut drives here, Alonso's debut for McLaren and Albon's debut for Alpine, really standing out here. Well, thank you for watching this installment of Career Mode. Don't forget to leave a like and hit the subscribe button if you're new here and you want to see more content from me. Career Mode is officially back. 15 races of Season 2 to go. How do you think this season is going to go? I have no idea, but I'm excited for it. TTFN, guys.